All right, there we go. If you do not want to be recorded, sorry. Sorry, lots of pop-ups. Welcome to February 2023 State TA Day. This year is just kind of moving so fast, like a freight train. It is crazy that we're already at the end of February. I hope everyone enjoyed the few nice days we had in the past couple of weeks in between the frigid temperatures and snow. But February in Colorado, that's what you get. So we just have a couple updates I will go ahead and start with. First off, for E&E invoices, I know we're going to be starting to bill for base funding for emerging and expanding. For now, please send those the same as you would other invoices to your QRIS coordinator as well as OEC invoicing. As of right now, the coordinators are going to be approving those because Emily is has a ton going on, so that's a way that we can support her there. So just send those to us. If you have any questions, let us know. As always, we also want to let you all know that the triennial presentation is going to be posted to the CDEC website. I have a link in the agenda for the Google Drive recording of it, and we will share out a link to where it can be found on the website when we share out all of our post meeting materials. And Michelle and perhaps a special guest will be talking to us real quick about the military child care grant and what is going on with that.
So hi all. So we just wanted to set up a reminder that we still have that military child care in your neighborhood available. So we had a meeting with the federal partners and they were talking about utilization. And so we were hoping we could just kind of spread the word because we thought the numbers were a little low. They said that we had about 16 providers that were enrolled in their program, although we have 364 that are eligible, and only 6 children are utilizing this program. So I know that several of you have military bases or families that are serving in the military throughout the state, and it would be really great if you could start leading them over to our website that has that information. They can sign up to be a provider through Child Care Aware, and that link is on our website. If you go under the Colorado Shines website and under for programs, and I can actually share my screen so you guys can see this. Hold on, I just put it down. Baby, please watch your movie. Thank you. So if it's under for providers, you'll find military child care. Still not sharing, am I? There we are. So information on this for both programs and families can be found under our website. For programs that would like to sign up for this subsidy to be able to provide this for their families, they can find the information through this webpage here, which will take them to Child Care Aware, and will give them how they can submit for being a program that serves families in the military. So because we're under the Military Child Care in Your Neighborhood Plus program, programs that are level 3 through 5, as well as accredited programs under NAEYC, NAFCC, NECPA, and Cognia are able to get in on this program and provide this program for their military families. And how this works for families is the families then get a subsidy from the military to pay for their child care. So it's a really great program for for military families to be able to afford childcare. So I would encourage you to please spread the word, and I can include some brochures that they have provided us for this program so that you can pass those along to programs in your area if you would like. And I'll put those in with Charlie's resources when he sends out the link for this, for the State TA Day stuff. Is there any questions?
Michelle?
Yes.
Kelly, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm just wondering, can you outline how childcare aware funding would work along with UPK funding?
That's a really great question. And so UPK funding is for I would think it would be a blending and braiding of programs depending on whether they're accepting UPK and whether that is the program that is chosen by the family. The subsidy is provided for childcare outside of what is already being paid for under UPK. So I would assume that programs that are providing wraparound care above and beyond UPK, that would be a blending and braiding of funding that the program would have to figure out with the subsidy that is provided through Child Care Aware and the Department of Defense. So is there any other questions?
If you all want to consult with us or get connected to our federal team, we're happy to also support that. So.
All right. Awesome. So yeah, if you have any questions or if you have providers who have questions, send them our way or Michelle's way. If you send them our way, we'll send them Michelle's way. But really exciting program and opportunity. We really want to get the word out about that. All right. So we are going to move right along. We have Clayton Early Learning, Maria Dolan and Josh Franklin are going to give us some updates on where things are at regarding the ratings. And also, Maria, because Katie has had some issues getting on the webinar, I was wondering if we could also introduce her real quick.
I think she messaged me that she had to go pick her kids up unexpectedly. Katie, are you on or did you leave? There
No,
you are.
I don't have to leave until 2:15 to go get them, so I'm here.
Well, okay, awesome.
Perfect.
There she is. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself, Katie.
I'm Katie Borelli. I'm the manager of the quality assessment team with Clayton Early Learning. I've got about 12 years of experience in the field, and I'm very excited to be supporting this field with Clayton.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to screen share. Yeah, we're super happy to have Katie on board for sure. Okay, so we wanted to share that we've updated our level 3 to 5 orientation process with you guys. Okay, so we've updated the orientation process for the following reasons. We wanted to create some efficiencies for both our assessors and for programs. And we wanted to ensure programs are receiving some of that general rating information that we would normally share in our orientation call through a different format. We wanted to use a video so we can share this verbally and visually with programs. And this also gives us an opportunity to create an on-demand resource video via that orientation video. And we want to make sure all programs going through their rating receive consistent information through that video.
So what has changed from this updated process from the previous one is that programs will receive an email from Clayton Early Learning and probably from me at the same time with their general rating information. This will help programs with a successful rating with Clayton. This will also include the recorded orientation video link. Programs will be required to complete a form acknowledging that they have viewed the video. We do advise programs to see it as soon as they can, but also to probably view it prior to meeting with the assessor who has been assigned the lead to their program.
Okay, and then what has changed? So the quality assessment associate assigned as the lead to the program will still contact the program. We'll do that after that orientation email and video has been sent to the programs, and they'll schedule that meeting with the program. And then during that meeting, the assessor will confirm some program application. That includes things like confirming the number of classrooms and sessions in the program, the days of the week and the hours of operation for each classroom, the staff assigned to each classroom. They'll also collect blackout dates. If there's interpreters needing, we'll get that information at that time. They're also going to ask programs about the family and staff survey numbers of families served, and number of children served. A number of staff working in the program. And then they'll also, of course, answer any questions they might have after reviewing the video. So on average, these new orientation meetings are lasting about 30 minutes on average, which is about, we kind of cut these meetings in half by doing it this way. So we're happy about that, creating that little more efficiency. And that video is only 16 minutes long. And again, programs can view that on their own time. So it saves a little bit of time for everybody.
After the orientation meeting is complete, the assessor will be sending out a follow-up email that contains links that are gone over in the orientation presentation. So if those links aren't working for you in the presentation, you will be getting a follow-up email that has those links. On or near the first day of the rating window, all programs will have the documentation portals open. So if your rating window is April, May, meaning your assessors will be there in May to start assessing your program. April, you can start uploading, and those will be open on or around April 1st. You will also receive your survey emails with your family surveys and staff surveys on or around that first of the month as well. And then observations will start unannounced as usual during the observation month, which is that second month in that April-May timeframe, for example. Are there any questions about this updated process?
We had a couple questions come through the chat, mostly regarding councils would like to be included on some of this information. So can councils be added? And or do you think we could set up a time to do like a sample orientation meeting for council staff so they know what is happening and how to best support the program?
Yeah, we can include the councils on those initial emails. And then after you've seen, the video, if you do have some questions, we could possibly think about scheduling some sort of a sample version. Yeah, that we can consider that for sure. It's a good idea. I like that idea.
Hey,
But yeah,
Marie,
for sure we can conclude that on the emails. Yeah,
is the video ready?
it is. Yeah.
Could we
Although-
share it out with this as a resource with this call? Like
Yeah,
after the call?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll share. Charlie just said, I'll have to check my link because Charlie said it wasn't working for him earlier. But yeah, definitely they can share that video after this meeting.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then another question here, when did this start? It hasn't started yet. So when is this go live?
So we actually tried it out on some programs in the previous month. So we kind of wanted to pilot it out. So a few programs have experienced this already. And we did send it out for let's see, Katie actually can answer.
Actually, recently sent it out for our programs who are in their March, April rating window.
So I guess technically we have already started it.
Cool.
Yeah. And, you know, all the information that we're sharing is the same information we previously shared. So that's why we went ahead and piloted this. It wasn't any new information. It's just basically a different format is what's changed. Any other questions? And then I think we still have a few more minutes. We also did want to share that we've updated our health and safety protocols. Some things have remained the same. We still require all of our observers to be fully vaccinated, and they'll show proof if requested. They'll still be completing personal health assessments, and they're not going to show up, if they're ill. They, still introduce themselves. Washing hands is still in place, of course. And then here's what's new. We had been requiring all of our assessors to wear face coverings during the observations. Now that's going to be optional. So however, if a program or provider requests or requires us to wear one, all our assessors will wear them. They are required to have them on their person whenever they go out in the field. So you can notify your assessor that's assigned to your program if that is a requirement for your program or home, and we will be honoring that. If you do request any social distancing, we just want to advise programs that it's not feasible throughout the observation due to those third edition scale. So any questions on that? And then I'll pass it to Josh. But any questions on our new policies there? No. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. And then Josh has some information to share on some ratings data.
Hi, everyone. Just let me get set up here. I got too many screens going, so let me just get these all set up. All right, you guys see the screen and a good view? All right, thank you.
Looks good.
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to just share a couple of things. Yeah, so right, Josh Franklin, data manager. I know a lot of you know me. I think I have a few emails outstanding that I got to get back to some of you. So, just give me a little patience and I'll get that out. But yeah, I wanted to give, just kind of we're done with 2022. We had a lot of changes happen in 2022. So I wanted to kind of give an update on kind of some of the results. Talk about the ERS 3 scores, and then just give some quick scheduling updates. Okay. Okay, so in 2022, right, we returned to in-person ratings. We implemented the ERS 3 scale, and we used the refreshed framework. So a lot of different things happened. So the results, right? So we traveled to 33 counties. We rated 150 programs, and 134 of those have accepted their ratings. The other ones are going through consultations and resubmissions and different processes. So the breakdown of scores are as follow here. right? So 11% of programs who rated got a level 2, 29% got a level 3, 43% got a level 4, and 17% got a level 5. So those are all pretty exciting. I know it's a little scary for programs to kind of, take that, kind of blind step off the cliff, those January, February, March, but I'm pretty happy with those. So that's a lot of hard work for you all supporting them. So then the ERS scores, okay? So I kind of took a sample of ERS R scores from 2019 and kind of did some averages. So we see kind of the let's see, the ECHRS average score is lower than for that compared for the ERS 3 versus the ERS for the ECHRS R versus the ECHRS 3, but the ITERS 3 and the FICRS 3 average scores are higher. So I think that's kind of exciting. I'll show you a little breakdown of the actual scores, all the scores in a second, because there's a couple interesting things. Okay, so here I kind of plotted all the scores that I had. So you just see that, the ECHRS 3 is here in the orange. There's a lot bigger spread, bigger distribution than from the ECHRS R. Part of that maybe, I'll kind of hypothesize, and you guys are all the experts, so maybe I'm off, or maybe you guys have some hypotheses, but it's just kind of a new thing. I think that it's going to start off and then maybe kind of shift, and that average score might trend to the right, trend higher once people are more familiar. Because there definitely were some lower scores down here. So, but then there was kind of more beefier ones up here. So, and there were higher scores. So, so that's kind of interesting about the ECHRS. So ITERS, there's ITERS 3 kind of had a bigger spread as well, but the average score for the ITERS 3 compared to my sample of 2019 ITERS R, I think that should be labeled up here, ITERS. Sorry about that. Those are higher, so that's exciting. And then the same thing with FICRS. I didn't have that many FICRS in my sample, FICRS R, but that average score is higher as well. So our average for the FICRS 3 is a 4.99 for 2022. So that's those are all good and exciting. Any quick questions on that? Any initial impressions?
I just wanted to mention that these are pretty interesting numbers based on the fact that nationally, when folks went from ERS R to ERS 3, we did see lower scores nationally. So our ECHRS scores didn't surprise me, but to see the ITERS scores higher, wow. I think that's really interesting because that was not the national trend, but I think that's again, probably a testament to having good coaching and support out in the field. So yeah, I think this is an interesting thing to look at too. I wasn't real sure about I didn't have the national data on homes, so it's nice to see them scoring higher as well.
Yeah,
nice.
I was pleasantly surprised too. So yeah, that's great. Okay, so scheduling updates. So I'm finishing up the May schedule right now. I'm about halfway done. I'm going to notify those programs next week, all the May programs. I'm scheduling for the summer. So this is kind of a chance for maybe programs to kind of skip ahead in the queue because a lot of programs aren't open in the summer. So I'll be sending outreach out to councils with updates of programs scheduled and then programs who are in the queue. So any information, any help you can have with programs, if programs are not going to rate, if they are listed as open in the summer but are not, all that information is really helpful because we still get very late drops. Oh, I'm not going through the rating, and we can't get other programs scheduled. So the queue is still pretty big. The wait time is getting smaller, but I know everyone wants, when I press the button, when am I going to get rated? I still can't kind of give a great answer, but I would say that someone still submitting now will be rated in 2023. I think I can accurately say that. So yeah. So yeah, everyone who's in the queue will get rated in 2023. Someone who's submitting, has submitted by now will get rated in 2023. and hopefully it's going to kind of keep on coming. So yes. About any indicators, I don't have data on indicators specifically right now. I think there's a little extra work with how that's mapped in Salesforce, but I can talk with Dorothy about that because those are some interesting things I'd like to see too. I can look at some category data. And yeah, if you guys have other questions, kind of like how Randy, I'm responding to Randy's message in the chat. If you guys have specific questions, I can kind of come back and do another one of these with some other findings. So I like digging into this stuff. So yeah. So, all right. Other than that, I think that's all I got.
Thanks so much, Josh. Just a shout out to Clayton and their team. They have been working so hard to get fully staffed to do reliabilities on their assessors to get them all out into the field, which is not easy. If anyone, I know many of you have been through a certification. Imagine that times 5 in 1 week, and having to score at a higher percentage. It's really stressful, and you guys make it look easy. We really appreciate your partnership and giving us some of these stats. Does anyone else have any questions on Clayton's work, or just double check in the chat? All right, cool. So we're a little bit early. It is 1:30. If any of you have to hop off to the LCO meeting, we totally understand. Emily has a little presentation on E&E, everyone's favorite grant here.
Hi, good to see you all. Oh, and you get to see the very end of my presentation. How great is that? Okay, let's start at the beginning. Okay, so and we click here when you are ready to start. Here we go. Okay, I've never done this before. It's good to see many of you. I am so happy that I get to connect with you and during office hours, and I get to connect with some of your colleagues who may not be able to be here right now. So thank you. So we are fast and furious accepting applications. The applications close on Friday, March 3rd. We will be having a second round. So if there's a program waiting for their provisional license number or that needs that extra time, not to worry, we plan on opening our second round of applications in late spring, early summer. Part of the reason that we're not totally sure of the timing is we want to, one, make sure we get through all of the applications that were submitted this round and figure out where we're at, make those that are able to be marked eligible now or in the next few weeks eligible, and then that will also then inform our base funding E&E amendments. So we want to be able to support you and give you more base funding based on 10% of the eligible E&E applications that we got the first round. So that way you also will know how much money is coming towards your base funding to continue to support both the application process and then any sort of follow-up around documentation and all that that's needed. So before I move on, do you guys have questions on, you guys, ladies and gentlemen, have questions on this? Yeah, Danielle. I see you. Come tell me. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Hi, Emily. Nice to see you.
Hi, neighbor. Nice to see you too.
Just on E&E, I'm wondering about the piece that says CCAP and QRIS participation is this year based on your local council policy. Are there any workshops on that, or have people already put that forward? What does that look like? Yeah, is there any group work on that, or are we just on our own to do that, basically?
So I haven't formally put any group together to discuss what those policies could be for your council. If you all think it would be helpful to convene a group to talk about what each council might be doing in that area, I'd be happy to do that, Danielle. I know that some councils, the reason we have it that way is because the legislation doesn't provide for the department to require participation.
Okay.
So I know that there are some councils that are still requiring both of those, because that would then put these programs in the pipeline for TSQI to continue to be able to support their expansion or their program if they're brand new. So I think like that's why that's worded that way, is we don't have the legislative authority to mandate that. And so
Okay, well, I'll just put that out there. If other councils if that sounds like something that's helpful, we would love to participate. Otherwise, we're just doing it on our own. I'm talking to our board. We're going to put a piece of paper, put something together. With COVID, we haven't operated in that fashion in a while, quite frankly.
well, and another thing,
off those policies.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I'm more than happy to do is if you all as councils are comfortable emailing me any of your policies that you have around Colorado Shines, participation, CCAP participation, fiscal around reimbursements, I'm also happy to create a shared folder in our Google Drive that anyone could access and look at those policies. So if you're willing to do that, I'm willing to put it in our shared folder and collect those for you. And then Danielle, I love this idea too, because then you're not trying to come up with something that might already exist and work for you all. So please, if you're on the call, send those to me if you're comfortable sharing them, and I'll get it out to the group. So thanks, Danielle. What a great question. Good to see you. And Danielle's my neighbor because I live in Broomfield and their office is in Lafayette, like 15 minutes from me. And Lisa, you're also my neighbor out in Adams, and then Triad. You're a little further south, but my parents live there, so you're in my neighborhood too. All right. What other questions do you have before I go to my next fun slide? Yeah, Tony, when an application is approved, how and when do MOUs go out to providers? Tony, you asked the question. That is great. So we thought we had finalized the MOU, and then we wanted to add one little tweak around if the E&E program is allowed to go through 2026, like the legislation put, we want to not have to have everyone sign MOUs again. So we are just finalizing the language that would allow for, right now we're through 2024, but if for some reason we were able to extend it through legislation, that the MOUs have that flexibility. So we are like, hopefully a day or two from final MOUs, and then those that have been approved will go through with the sync. So I came up with some very simple draft language. That's a footnote that says if legislation changes, the end of the MOU changes to 3 months prior to the end of the legislation authorization. So we're just running that through our traps here at our state office, and then they'll go out soon. And Karen wanted to know, we do expect to be able to spend down through 2026, which is really exciting. And that's why we're like, oh, let's update the MOU since it's looking far more likely. And of course, we'll know that by the end of legislative session, which also will help us with our amendments. So for those of you that are legislative newbies, or it's not your jam, first of all, I understand. That's why you have geeks like me in the world. What happens is we're waiting for the long bill to pass. And when the long bill, whatever's in the long bill is what's put through by the Joint Budget Committee. And that's the final funding and authorizations for this legislative session. And that is done in early May. So that's why we don't necessarily have a final answer on that yet. So things can change between now and May, and we are hoping in this sense they do not. So I saw another question come through. And there isn't a lot of doubt that there will be funding for future rounds. We are fully anticipating having that second round. Obviously, if things change in the legislative session around spend down, around funding any of those, then that could impact future rounds, but we're planning on that second round for sure. The other thing is, based on our experience last time, we had a lot of programs in the queue that ended up not being able to participate in E&E for whatever reason. And so, you know, even though I'll go to my next slide, it looks like we have $5 million, and I don't have remaining funds to allocate in here yet because I have to make sure my math is right. But we have around, which includes y'all's indirect, around 11 or $12 million to allocate this with E&E, this program. And right now with our, just the applications we have on hand, we're at 5.3 million requested. I'm reporting on all of the applications we received because I want you to also see last year when last season, I like to call it a season, last season with E&E, we got over 400 applications and we were able to approve 262. So I haven't had the chance to go through all of the 72 applications that are under review or received. And so that's why this number of 390,506 isn't higher. But we're hoping that it will be soon. And these applications that were approved are ones that are really straightforward. They're the ones you guys love. They're like, we did the work, we have the receipts, here they are, it's eligible expenses, it's easy to approve, we're not waiting on bids and all those things. So that's where our current standing is. And when Charlie sends out the recording from this, I'll tell you, I'll include the total funds we have remaining to allocate. So it's gonna be whatever our big number is minus almost $400,000. So we're looking good right now. And then the next thing I wanna plug is office hours. So I've really loved talking with you and exploring and talking through some of these applications that are not as straightforward as we would love them to be. And so I wanted to schedule, and I have scheduled office hours every Monday from 1:30 to 2:30, except for March 6th, because if my friends from Custer County are here, I'm planning on going down to Westcliff, my favorite place. No offense to everyone else, I love your counties too. And for some respite, and then I'm going to do Wednesdays from 10 to 11. And for those of you that were on my office hours at 10 today and I wasn't there, I really will be there on Wednesdays from 10 to 11. I, for some reason, in my mind thought it started at 10:30, so I jumped on at 10:30 and I realized my mistake. So I apologize for those of you who wanted to connect with me today. So what other questions? Oh, Chelsea says, when can a new family child care home provider apply? Do they have to be finished with the licensing process, or do they just need to have their license number? Chelsea, that's a great question. They just need to have their license number. The other thing is I'm working on a process with my colleague Dorothy to try to assign those preliminary license number providers to the council that they're in. Because what happens in Salesforce is before they're licensed, the council or the person that's kind of owns it in that sense is the person that processed their paperwork in our office. So I work with Dorothy to assign it to you so you can see them. So, but Chelsea, if you're not seeing someone, I'll send an email to Dorothy probably realistically on Monday about it, and it should show up in your Salesforce report. So the other thing is we haven't had an issue with this at all. Just with the office hours, it's easier, and they're really geared towards you all to ask your questions with the providers or the programs that are applying or thinking about applying. The other thing that I've been getting some questions about is there really is no way to save the E&E application once you start it. So I think as much as, you know, I know you all get providers that you didn't even know they were applying. We get those fun ones, right? That don't realize this, but if you know they're applying and they're working on finalizing some documentation or budget or something, just let them know that to plan to sit and do that at that time. The FAQs have the overview of what's in the application. So if they wanted to create some sort of document that addresses the questions that are asked in the application, and then they can just copy and paste it in, that's possible too. That's a way to kind of make it so that they can edit what they want and not have to come up with it on the fly. So Stacy, so there isn't, yeah, so Karen was answering your question. All right. Who else has questions? I know this is high level. I also want to know, is this the information you want in our state TA day calls? I'm happy to add more information. I also want to make our money and applications more visual. So next month I plan hopefully to have some beautiful pie charts for you, because who doesn't love pie? And I'll make an informal poll on whether pumpkin or sweet potato pie is pie or is dessert or a vegetable. So think how you're going to vote on that one. And then Karen said, once we get rolling along, we'll bring a dashboard of the application information. Yeah. And I could always show you guys the screen of the Salesforce bars too. That's something I can do as well. So, but I'm really proud of you. You know, we have great statewide representation so far in the applications. I know many of you on this call are new to E&E and you're just leaning in and figuring it out, and I'm here to support you and help you. Even if you don't have a question, it's really great to come to office hours, because you can hear the conversation and the situations that are coming up there and get to know each other, and even provide. I have sometimes put it back on the group, like, what do you guys think? You know, so it's a way to learn together and build that community. And Diane said, I'm just bummed that I missed you today. I still have several questions, but I'll wait to check with you personally. Diane, I'm so sorry. I will, you and I can set up a time. So I got your number for real, your phone number. So we'll figure out Diane and Emily get together. So if you do have a huge number of questions that are coming, don't hesitate to reach out to me too. We can figure out a time to meet just us, because I also understand it can be, you know, you don't want to feel like you're taking up the office hours. But for those of you that have been there, they're not, you know, we're not usually running out of time to answer everyone's questions either. So I know everyone loves the opportunity to learn. So, and what other questions do you have? Karen said it would be great to have council access to the pending licensing info. Thank you for doing that. Of course, Karen. I just need to figure out my process and work it out with Dorothy, and it should be pretty straightforward. She's very responsive when I ask her to add you all as the person. So, as the council, I guess. And, you know, I'm here. Randy, thank you so much. Good to see you. Don't ever hesitate. I will be full transparency. I'm not a huge voicemail person, so text me if you can instead of a voicemail. But if you leave a voicemail, I will call you back. I don't know why. I'm Gen X, and you would think I'd love voicemail, because back in the day it was call waiting or voicemail that you knew your friends were trying to reach you. So yeah. Okay, you got it, Diane. The other thing that's coming through a little bit is this part-time slot issue. And I think when you have providers that ask why, especially with UPK, can't we do part-time preschool slots, or part-time slots in general? I think the real thing is basically statewide we have a infant toddler desert, right? So we need to be able, we don't have enough funding to fund all the expansions that we could, which I wish we did. And we need to be able to prioritize those infant toddler slots particularly. So I think when you think about, if you have providers that are asking about that, they're correct. They are creating slots, and we're really wanting to make sure that our littlest Coloradans have more spaces to come to licensed care. So, yes, you're welcome, Charlie. I'm always happy to mention our little people. And I think it helps people understand the why, even if they don't necessarily like the why. You know, like, it's like, okay, I get it, even though I wish it was different. So that's a big thing there. Okay, what other questions? Yeah, Eva's like, represent EQIT if it's toddlers. Let's go. I'm just really delighted to be here with you on this journey. So I work Monday through Thursday, like 10:30 or sorry, 9:30 to 3:30-ish. So those are my general office hours. And I say that because I also know that you all might have different office hours or different times that you're working. So let me know if you need to reach me outside that time, and we can figure it out. because I want to meet you where you come alongside and meet you where you're at. So, and hopefully do whatever you do to have the 2026 thing come to fruition for us. Okay. So if that's lighting candles and having beautiful aromatherapy, do that. Or whatever it's, whatever your thing is. So, and that's all, folks. Send me emails, send me texts, come to office hours. Last thing about office hours while I'm thinking of it. If you would like me to actually add you to the office hour invite, so it's on your calendar from here until eternity, actually just the end of May, I can do that. So just send me an email and I'll just add you. And then that way, if I cancel it or it moves or something, you'll get updated on it. I also want to be mindful that not everyone wants E&E office hours on their calendar from here until the end of May. So just let me know and I'll get you on there. And then expenses that are dated June 2022, can a council still submit these for reimbursement? I need to ask if it's, are you asking about base funding or are you like, are these expenses? I guess I'm not fully understanding the question.
So for a council that a program has expenses that are dated that, could they submit those for reimbursement now?
For last year?
Yes. Well,
No.
yeah, that would be the question.
So it would be last year's E&E is what you're out wanting? Probably not, but I can see, but I don't think so. Karen, I see Karen shaking her head, so.
Anything after June 1, correct? Or July 1?
So July 1st, so the funding that is funding this season of E&E is different than the funding that funded the previous E&E season. So the question is, are you asking whether expenses incurred last June of 2022 with last year's money can be expensed? And I think it's too late at this point. And it's not eligible for this year's funding. So I could triple check that, but we'll check. Yeah, Danielle.
It's probably in something I've read and I'm not recalling, but that's a great question. When does spending start? Does it start when we signed our E&E base, or does it start before then?
So it's whenever your contract is fully executed.
Okay, so we're working with a provider. I'm going to have that date right there because inevitably somebody's going to come up and say, "Here's a gate I bought."
Let me back up, Daniel. Okay, I understand what you're asking. For your providers, it's July 1st on to support the slots. But for you guys doing base funding, it's from when you signed your contract.
Got it. Thank you.
You got it. Sorry about that, Danielle.
No, perfect.
And that's where it can get confusing. I know I was working with a council that a provider opened. They've been having a long-term construction project and they're hoping to open this spring. And so really they have to figure out what part of that construction project was on or since July 1st. And that can be that's where it can get a little weird sometimes if you have someone with a bigger term, longer term project. So thank you all for all that you do. I'm here. Thank you for bringing me your Jurassic Park questions. The not can we, but should me, or this situation's kind of weird. What do you think? Those are what we're here for. So I'm going to turn it over to whoever is after me. So I'm going to close my trusty slideshow and stop sharing.
Wait, one more question. Are you saying on or since July 1st, 2022 for current E&E?
Current E&E is on and after July 1st, 2022. Yes. Correct. For like any sort of, of the cost that you would charge to the GAE.
Cool. That is when the funding became available. July 1st, 2022. Before that, it did not exist.
Yes. So.
Awesome. Emily, we appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
There's no better person to be driving this this E&E ship. So we are so grateful that you are, and your willingness to meet with everybody, and you're just the best.
Well,
Everyone here agrees.
I think I'm just so lucky to work with all of you, and I'm glad to be here. So keep up the good work and bring those weird things to me. That's what we get. That's what I'm here for.
The weird things. We're all here for the weird things. Cool. All right. Ava, I know you chatted, so I know you're here.
I'm here. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm my first service. If I
You're a little bit choppy.
$100.
Hang on. I have Ava's. I have Ava's slides that I'm going to present. Okay, cool. And yeah, Ava, you're cutting out just a little bit, but I think we'll make it through. Oop. Okay.
Let me see. Like their service also. Sorry about
Cool.
that. I thought it was okay. How are you? Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, that sounds a little bit better.
Go or do you want it to be a little better? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do my best here. If it's cutting out, then let me know, and maybe you guys can skip to the next person, then I'll.
No, this sounds pretty. This sounds pretty good.
Pretty good? Okay, cool. Well, hi everybody. I am so excited to get to chat with you all today about some of the new things that we are going to be rolling out with EQIT. And I think probably everybody on this call knows that Lisa Matters' last day was last week, last Thursday. So she's no longer with us. She is in spirit, of course. But in the meantime, I will be kind of doing some of the interim work. I'll be reviewing contracts and doing some of those fun things right now. I just wanted to let you know that I'll be your person. I'll continue to do that. You can go to the chart. So we will continue to do our work. We'll continue to lead our mission, which is that relationships for infants and toddlers and their families are healthy and thriving. So one of the ways that you all know that we do that is through our EQIT course that lots of your instructors teach. We have some things that we've been working on and we've been piloting over the last few months. And Charlie, you can probably go to the next slide down. We've been piloting with a few councils to migrate our course registration into PDIS. So certificates have already been living in PDIS for participants, but the actual course itself is now going to move there. So individuals will be able to enroll in their EQIT, in their local EQIT course in PDIS. We will be starting that after this next fiscal year. So we're planning to have sort of everyone who is offering EQIT to roll that out alongside of us. So I wanted to let everybody know about that. It'll be a little bit different, but essentially the main parts will all still be the same. We are going to be offering and asking that instructors or folks who manage registration for your council will be offering a training. We're calling it a mandatory training just because we would like most people to attend if they can in April. So there's 2 dates for that. There's April 18th and April 13th. I've sent that information out to the instructors, but I wanted to make sure that everyone else on this call knew that. So we will be having Mary Heffernan with PBIS help to support that work. She will, right now as you guys are giving us your course plans and telling us what you're thinking about for next year, we're going to be uploading that information into PBIS, and then Mary will offer one-on-one support to whoever's working on registration, whether that's instructors or whether that's people who are main EQIT registration folks at the council level. So that's kind of the big news. I think maybe some of you have heard that, but maybe not. One of the exciting things about this move is that instructors will be able to have access to that course shell. They'll essentially take their attendance there, and then as soon as courses are complete, they will be able to award certificates. Right now, as you may or may not know, there's kind of a lag time. So instructors are asked to submit, and maybe some of you are asked to submit their data reporting worksheet to us. Then we go in and we have to give that to our state contractor. It's taking about 2 weeks to even sometimes up to a month to get certificates to be awarded. So we're excited that this is going to really streamline that process and allow for information to be stored in our PBIS information system instead of in multiple different spreadsheets. So I think that is the main part of that information that I want to share. I guess maybe I should pause for a second and just see if there's any questions, and then I have one more. How long is the training? It's an hour and a half on those days. So those two separate days if folks can attend. Of course, if you can't, then we'll either set up another training or we'll just offer some one-on-one support for folks. Just looking at yours, Nicole. Yeah, that's a good question. So Nicole says, you mentioned that instructors will have access to the course shell, but is there an option for other non-EQ instructors to have access to the shell? So essentially what will happen is a participant will enroll in PBIS. They'll be able to go through and choose their community course. And before they actually are enrolled in the course shell, an email is sent out to whoever the registration contact is. So whether that's the instructor or whether that's someone at the council who then takes the payment. So there will be an email that's an automated email that goes to whoever that person is, whoever that contact is. And then at that time, we can either set up a link that says, please submit your payment here, or you can contact that person back and say, okay, yes, your payment's complete. And then the instructor, so essentially that person goes into a wait list, and then the instructor, whoever's managing registration, approves them, and then they're enrolled in the course. So the nice thing about PBIS is that there's some automated emails that are able to be sent out to the participants so that folks will be able to get that information, and then you all will be able to have control over what that says, what the registration process is, whether you'll be able to see whether or not that person is working with infants and toddlers, whether that person is working locally in your community. So you'll be able to sort of see all of those pieces before you decide put them into the course shell. Did the training information for EQIT admins? Yeah, thanks, Nicole. I hope that answered your question. Did the training information for EQIT admins, if they're not, go to instruct? How does the payment get back to the council? Yeah, so I may have just kind of answered that, Lisa, but like I said, there will be, as soon as a person decides that they want to enroll in the course, there will be an automated email that goes out to the council. So it depends on the way that you collect payment now. It'll still be that same process. It'll just be that person is either contacting you to collect that payment or using whatever link or payment method that you have set up now.
Thanks. And that question above, I didn't quite write it correctly. It meant to say, did the training information, this mandatory training information, go to EQ administrators if they're not instructors, or did it only go to instructors?
Right now, it just went to instructors. I just sent that information out. So that's why I wanted to talk about it today.
So if we have someone who's an admin and not an instructor, do we just need to ask our instructors to send that to them?
Yeah, or I can. So
okay.
Yeah. So my thought was that I would, when I'm sending out your information for your contracts, that I would send out information about that at that time. But yeah, you can either contact me right now directly, or you can ask your instructors to send that email. Either way. Any other questions? This part. Yeah, because I realize that there are other people who are taking care of that registration process. Is this time that you can bill for your instructor's time for the training or other?
Yeah, because if they're contractors, they're going to bill us, so we can bill you.
Yeah, you can. You can bill it. Yeah, for that hour and a half. That's fine. Yeah. All right, Charlie. Let's go to the next slide. There's one more kind of piece to this that I want to talk about, and this is called the infant toddler specialist role. Lisa has probably mentioned this to you all, but maybe not. So just wanted to talk about this piece as well. So we have created a new role. It's in some ways similar to the credential, but it's slightly different. So this is called the infant toddler specialist role. It's specific to folks who have been certified and trained as EQ instructors and EQ coaches. So there's an infant toddler specialist trainer role and an infant toddler specialist coach role. So right now, annually, our infant toddler specialists are submitting to us or maintaining their coach and trainer credential. They're submitting an annual reflection to us, and they're sort of keeping track and documenting 6 hours of professional development each year and giving that to us. So instead of sort of tracking all of that stuff separately and sending that to us, and then we're keeping track of it, all of this information will be housed now in PDIS also. So many instructors have already applied for this role. So what they'll do is they will, if they have a current trainer or current coach credential, then they're able to pass the pre-check, and they've gone through the Infant Toddler Specialist Foundations course, they're able to pass the pre-check. And then they say, yes, I've done my annual reflection, and yes, I've done my 6 hours of professional development. And I will go through, I'm actually going through tomorrow to start to approve all of the folks who have applied. So moving forward, this role is how trainers will be linked to the EQIT courses that are going to be live in PDIS. So this is going to be the way that trainers and coaches will continue to be sort of in that approved status for EQIT for the next years to come. So this again is helping us to kind of streamline the process so that instead of having trainers and coaches having to sort of collect this information and send it to me each year, I will be able to see if they have a trainer and coach credential, because that will be living in PDIS. They'll have to just click an attestation that they've done an annual reflection, and I will then be able to go over and look in their Cornerstone and within PDIS account to see if they've done their 6 hours of professional development. So right now I'm working with Elaine, and we'll start to tag certain types of professional development. For example, our statewide meetings, or if we're doing additional trainings, we'll tag that with a specific infant and toddler indication, so that I'll be able to see and verify their PD that way in PDIS. So yeah, I think that is all. Beginning July 1st, that's really when this will kind of go into effect. I have folks trying, I asked everyone to apply right now, just so that people can start to get used to it, and so that I can work out the kinks of approving this new role. And then moving forward each year in July, we'll ask people to reapply for their infant toddler specialist role. Stacy says, is there a way for administrators to know which of our folks have applied for this role? I will have to think about that, Stacy. I think I'll be able to see that, so I wonder if it's more of a me communicating with each council. I'll have to think a little bit more about how we may have to work that out.
I would just be happy to help round up the multiple people in my region to make sure they are able to get that done by July, and that way we'll know who to track down for you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, like I said, I'll be going through tomorrow to be approving, and right now I have a list of folks who are certified, so I'll also be bugging everyone who is on that list who hasn't applied yet. And then Julia, I saw you had a question. Yes, so they have to apply every year, just the exact same way that they are having to keep track of that certification with me every year. So instead of sending me their annual reflection and sending me their 6 hours of professional development and tracking, right now they track both of those things in 2 different Google Forms. So instead of sending that information to me, they'll submit the application in PDIS. So it's really the exact same thing that they're doing. It'll essentially be one less step for them, because all they'll have to do is go in and submit the application, and then I'll have to be the one that's looking at their PD a little bit more closely. But it actually will create less work for them. So.
I saw Sarah had her hand raised.
I was going to add something to how we can track them, but I think even I can talk about it before we share with other people. I'm sure we can find a way to track individuals by their employer.
Okay, thank you, Sarah.
And
cool. When will courses begin to be registered in PDIS? That will start at the beginning of the fiscal year, so July. So for most courses, it seems like most courses start around August. So it's likely that folks will be registering around July. So our idea is to have that training in April and start to begin to have Mary create all of those course shells, so that if you want to open registration a couple months before your course starts, we can have that ready to go for you before that July one start. Yeah, thank you. All right, any other questions? I know I'm a little bit past my time.
You're okay. We have some padded time this week, so.
Okay.
And Ava is
well, thank you all. Yeah, and let me know if you have other questions. I'm also happy to send out that email that gives those dates for those April training dates to this group. I have been working to collect different email lists from what Lisa left me, so I think I need to organize and figure out who should be on my council list, but maybe I can reach out to Charlie, Emily, and QRIS team to help with that. So thank you. Thank you all, and I appreciate your questions, and I appreciate just your openness for us to move this to PDIS. I do think that it will help to streamline the process. And like I said, we're piloting with 3 right now, and it seems to be working really well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ava. We're so excited that you're stepping up and doing this work. And we know with Lisa's absence, you have big shoes to fill, and there's nobody better who would be able to fill it than you. So
thanks.
Yeah, we appreciate you so much. Yes, do you have a question? Just kidding.
No, I know. I was trying to make a heart, and I did a question.
Cool. All right, awesome. We're gonna have Elaine do her presentation a little bit out of order, just because we had some folks traveling. So Elaine, talk to us about PDIS.
Hello. Yeah, so we're just going to continue PDIS things, although this is not infant toddler specific. So I just have a few things I want to share out with this group about what's new with the PDIS, as well as some requests for feedback and notes of what's to come. Our first exciting update you see here is that we have a new help desk chatbot. So this is PD. You can find PD in the bottom right corner of the PDIS. There's just a little chat box that says chat with PD, I think, and then you click it and he pops up. He can help with password resets. He can help with directions for how to find things on the PDIS. So that includes updating profiles and employment, where to register for a course, how to apply for a credential or a qualification. And then you can also, sorry, I'm trying to switch between my notes. You can also submit a help desk ticket for you all. And then the other piece that has not yet launched is that we had a slight holdup in getting him launched in Spanish, but we've figured out the fix and we're working on that now. So we're hoping by mid-March, he'll be available on the Spanish side of the PDIS as well. He is in his first form, and so we're really excited about his ability to help users get support faster and help people find what they are looking for on their own. But just a heads up to be a little patient, and he's a bit limited, so there's a menu that he'll prompt that you can click through to get through some of the most frequent questions that come through the help desk. And then there's also a few things that you can type in and he'll answer. So if you type in ECPC, he'll tell you how to find where to send in that application. And so as time goes on, we'll be able to have him answer even more questions and help out more, but just a caution that he is a little bit limited in what he can do, but we are excited about him and hope that he is helpful as we want him to be for everyone. our next piece is that we are doing some work to collect user feedback on how we can make the PDIS easier to use. So we're planning to redesign the homepage and the menu with the goal of making it easier for people to do really whatever they want and or need to do in the PDIS. And so in order to do this well, we want to hear from you all. We want to hear about how you're engaging with the PDIS, how you would like to engage with the PDIS, where some of the pain points are in your work with it currently, and then just how we can make it more user-friendly. So we have 2 ways for people to share their feedback. The first is through a brief survey. I'll send the link in the chat. It's also posted on the PDIS home dashboard. Above the 4 little tiles, there's a message about sharing feedback. So it has a link to this survey right there. We're going to be collecting responses to the survey through March 10th. And we would really appreciate it if you guys could share out the survey with anyone in your community. The more feedback we get, the better we can serve you all and make improvements. And also, in order to get some more in-depth feedback, we'll be doing some user interviews over the next 2 weeks. So if you or anyone you know is interested in sharing feedback with someone on the PDIS team, there's a form that I'm also going to send in the chat. So please fill out this form. We'll be able to do interviews in both English and Spanish. So if you have anyone Spanish speaking, we have Spanish speakers to go through this with them. We're going to try to talk with everyone that expresses interest, but depending on the amount of interest, we might not be able to talk with everyone. But we're going to try to. The interviews will be completely virtual and last about 30 minutes. So share broad and wide. We want to be able to support the field as best we can. For those of you that were here last month, this is just going to be a reminder, but directors and workforce managers are now able to add hours of verified experience directly into the PDIS for their staff. We had some webinars earlier this week, so I'm going to share the links to the webinar slides and recordings. The webinar slides are the same slides that were presented at State TA Day last month. So you also should have access to those, but I'll send them out as well. And then we also have a how-to guide that I will share. Then in March, we have even more coming. So users will be able to generate an experience letter from the PDIS. So any experience that's directly put into the PDIS by a director or workforce manager, that staff member will still be able to generate an experience letter and have that physical proof of work experience. In addition, there will be an experience summary that the PDIS will be able to generate. So a letter is specific to one program or one center. The summary is going to be across all employments that person has in their PDIS. And lastly, verified experience is automatically going to be pulled into any applications. So starting in March, if you're applying for an ECPC, for a director qualification, for whatever we have in there, any experience that's already verified and saved to your account will automatically go towards your applications, and you won't have to upload those experience letters again. And then the last little sneak peek for everyone is just, I want to take this opportunity to let everyone know that applying for early childhood teacher qualifications is coming. We know this is a ways behind the initial plan, but we're working to set it up now. We're going to take the next few months to get everything set up and then make sure we have enough time for testing, because we want it to work well once it's launched and not cause more trouble for folks. And so our plan is, or our goal right now is to have this launched by early summer. So I wanted to give just kind of that high level, what's happening and what's coming, and see if there are any questions.
This experience letter and verification is going to be so wonderful to streamline that. I think we're all excited about that. Nicole has a question.
Hi, I just have a question about the idea of having 2 applications. So currently right now we have an application for the credential. If you get the level 3 or higher, you're director qualified, versus the second application for director qualifications. Now we're saying if you're level 2 or higher, you're early childhood teacher qualified, but now we're going to have a separate early childhood teacher application. So can you maybe just elaborate a little bit more on why we're looking at having 2 processes for the same qualifications?
Yeah, that is a very good question. So the early childhood professional credential is a temporary qualification or credential, and it does have those equivalencies like you just mentioned, whereas the director qualification and the early childhood teacher qualification are permanent. So if you have an ECPC, you are able to serve as an early childhood teacher for the length of until that ECPC expires, basically. Whereas if you have an early childhood teacher qualification, so there's many different pathways that you can acquire, that you can use to acquire an early childhood teacher qualification. One of those is through the ECPC, though that pathway, your ECT, the teacher qualification, will expire when the ECPC expires. If you use one of the other pathways to get your early childhood teacher qualification, then that one will be permanent and you won't have to renew it every 3 years. Same thing with director. Does that answer your question?
I guess it gives a little more clarification as why we need 2 applications for the same qualification, but it does get a little tricky. And just, everybody knows our pathways are incredibly challenging to navigate, and we're just giving it one more route to go. So it's just, I don't know. I guess it helps me understand a little bit more and maybe speak to it a little bit better when people ask me these questions. But it is, I don't know, just one more step to take.
Yeah, I definitely understand. I think the other piece is that the ECT qualification was meant to be launched much earlier on when the PDIS was launched, and meant to be the main route that staff take to become early childhood teacher qualified and to become a lead teacher in a classroom. But with kind of troubleshooting the new system, we decided to hold off to make sure that we could launch it right and not cause more trouble for people. And so in the absence of that being available, the ECPC really took on, I think, a bigger role than it was initially intended to get people qualified to teach in the classroom, whereas the main goal was, or the main intent was to have the early childhood teacher qualification be the main route that people took to teach in the classroom.
Well, thank you for answering the question and offering more clarification.
Of course. Any other questions? So yes, that is correct. HHOC. So there are 2 pathways with the ECT that do expire. One is the ECPC pathway that I just mentioned. The other is if you get your ECT qualification through a CDA, then the ECT qualification will expire when the CDA expires as well. The other pathways involve formal education, experience, some of those especially recognized trainings like EQIT that Eva was just telling us about. So every pathway other than the ECPC and the CDA will not expire. Yes, the rainbow chart is still around, and I should have had it ready knowing that I was including that slide on ECT, but I don't have the link at hand. But there is the rainbow chart that's still online that lays out all of the different pathways and what's part of each pathway.
Elaine, if you send that my way, I can put it in the agenda.
Okay.
We
I
love
can do
rainbow
that.
charts.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Elaine. Lots of really exciting work in PDIS, and it's really cool seeing it's evolving into something that is really valuable. Not that I wasn't, but it's nice to see progress. Cool. And it looks like Jennifer put the rainbow chart in the chat, so thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
All right, Megan, Marika, you guys ready?
Yes,
we are ready.
Thank you for the flexibility, and thanks, Elaine, for going ahead of us. Okay, I'm going to share.
Thank you, Megan. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marie Pagia, and I am one of the Program Access Coordinators at CDEC State Systems Building Initiatives Unit. And I'm here with my colleague, Megan LeClaire, to share some SSBI unit updates with you all. And we'll start with the updates on the Small Business Development Center Network's Child Care Business Training. The finalized 2022 end-of-year report was shared with the councils at the beginning of this month, and the report includes project data from the Office of Economic Development and International Trade, a crosswalk of feedback from both the councils and the SBDCs. As you may recall, Kristen reviewed this crosswalk and reflections during the January State TA meeting. The report also includes feedback and insights from SBDCs, councils, and the CDEC's licensing team. And the licensing team is currently using the feedback from the report to update their presentation they offered during the training. The report also includes provider success stories, and one of the ones that we want to highlight is included on this slide. It is from Larimer SBDC. They shared a story about a mother-daughter team who are looking to open their own childcare center, and they are now clients at the Larimer SBDC. And Larimer also shared that at the culmination of their November Spanish language business training, they held a graduation to celebrate the providers who completed the training with friends and family, and there was a lot of pride that night. I'm going to drop the link to the end of year report in the chat so everyone can have a chance to review it. Okay, we can go to the next slide, Megan. So we have two upcoming business training series in March and April. And I just learned right before this meeting started that the registration for the Southern Colorado SBDC's March and April training is at capacity. And this is the third business training series just this year, 2023, that has the registration full within just days from when the registration link went live. Brian from Pueblo let me know that they have opened a wait list for their July training. And I'll drop the link here in a few into the chat, into the July workshop registration, if anyone is interested in sharing that with their networks. And we hope to have details and information for Bike Speak SBDC's business training coming very soon. And just want to remind that the Growing Forward Stimulus website is a great place to find the most up-to-date info on business training, and also drop the link in a chat here. And I just wanted to give a quick plug for the Southern Colorado Early Childhood Conference in Pueblo coming in April. I'll drop a link for some info in this chat. And this conference is organized by Southern Colorado SBDC and the Pueblo Early Childhood Council. I'll drop those links in the chat. Okay, so finally, we wanted to share the links to the 2023 guidance document and the prior approval form for the councils who provide support to SBDC's childcare business training. We have GAE funding available for councils supporting the SBDC business training, and listed on this slide are the types of support we have funding for. This information is also listed in more detail in the guidance document. At the beginning of this year, the funding source for this activity changed from PDG to stimulus. And with this change, we need to be careful in how we spread the support funds. So after you submit your prior approval form to us, you may receive an email from us asking for more clarification on the support and the coaching hours you've submitted. And I'll drop those links to those forms here as well. Does anyone have any questions for me on the business training before I hand it off to Megan? And as always, you can email me. I'll put my email in the chat with any questions that you may have. Yes, Lisa.
Yeah, I see the comment in the report about ECC staff attending the meeting and they're not the intended audience. I know that our staff often attend, well, they rotate who attends, and we have 6 staff because they want to be able to coach to the SBDC, like they're serving as the coach after the class and they need to know the content. And so I just wonder if an ECC staff is attending, is it possible to not have them take up a seat? You know what I'm saying? So if you're saying, yes, I can have 13 people in my class, but one of them is an ECC staff, you really have 14 people, because I think all of our coaches need to be trained in this. They're going to get questions from their providers, but they're also the ones that are serving as the coach after the class. So that was just one comment I saw and was curious about.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for asking that question, Lisa. I think we can definitely have a chat with the SBDCs on the registration and the attendance of the council staff, and if that will count toward the seats in the class. And also if you, so we mostly have funds to fund one staff member from each council to attend the training, but that can be a different staff member each time. So, you know, if it's a 6-week class, you can spread those 6 staff members at each week and have the new staff member from the council attend the training.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're not taking up 6 slots at one time. We do rotate.
Right.
There's only
Right.
one staff per series.
Yeah,
We would not do that, I promise.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'll take your question to Kristen and the SBDCs and see what we can do about the council staff registration. Thank you. All right. If there's no more questions, I'll pass it on to Megan.
Okay, hello everyone. Megan LeClaire here. So we are going to go through a couple more updates as quickly as possible. I know we only had 10 minutes on the agenda, so I'll do my best. So for the local organizational capacity, we have CDEC, I should say, and ECLA and the Family Resource Center Association have been engaged in the PDG Local Organizational Capacity Work Group since 2020 to consider strengthening the connectivity and efficacy of Colorado's local organizations. And so councils definitely fall within that definition of local organization. And with the award of Colorado's new preschool development planning grant, I should say, for this calendar year, there is an opportunity to further this work. So we have 2 upcoming exciting initiatives. This is kind of just an FYI because these are still in the works with solicitations, but we will have virtual trainings coming up later this year for local organizations, and these will be shared trainings, a training series, and will address the needs that were identified by the work group in 2021 and 2022. So we have some ideas in mind of training topics, and we will be surveying you all very soon to help us choose some of the topics for that. And so the virtual trainings, there will be at least 2 series with 2 to 4 sessions in each series with no more than 30 participants per training series. And then we will also offer 4 in-person regional convenings. And we have kind of selected locations across the state that are roughly within a 2-hour drive of most folks. So that includes Greeley, Pueblo, Glenwood Springs, and Durango. So this will be upcoming in the summer months to accommodate for good weather. And each of these convenings will include up to 4 selected local partner teams of 4 to 6 organizations. So this is all upcoming. There will be much more detail to provide soon, but just wanted you to be aware that we are going to be surveying you all soon to see what topics you would like to see at these 2 future offerings. And I'm going to breeze through this next one really fast because this is another FYI. So for the Staffed Family Childcare Network, this is the state of Colorado invested stimulus funding in supporting the growth and success of licensed family childcare homes through different strategies responsive to the recommendations in Senate Bill 63. So one of these stimulus strategies was a goal to promote the connectedness and sustainability of family childcare home providers by designing and lifting a staffed family childcare home network in Colorado. So we are currently in the pilot phase of this. So 3 pilot sites were selected, and this is just a very rudimentary map that I made with cute little stars, but I just want you guys all know your councils and which counties they serve, but we just wanted to show that we intentionally selected councils that applied with different geographic locations and different community needs. And so this pilot is focusing on 3 main service areas. So broad technical assistance and technology support, for providers, the development and dissemination of a robust licensing starter kit that the Colorado Association for Family Childcare is working to create with CDEC licensing, and intensive models of business training and coaching for providers. So this is just kind of an FYI because this is very new. So these pilots just began in January and will continue this year. So more to come on that as we have updates to see how these pilot sites are doing and what they're learning, and hopefully we can find some funding in the future if this works to implement it in more communities. So stay tuned. And then the last thing, I'm sorry, I'm going very rapid fire, but hopefully if you have any questions, you can throw them in the chat. So the last thing I wanted to touch on was the Preschool Development Grant Quality Nutrition Work Group. So this work group is currently working to create a toolkit based on a lot of things that this work group has already put together over the past couple of years. But this toolkit is going to be targeted to local organizations that work with providers, and specifically with providers that serve use CACFP. So the Child and Adult Care Food Program, I should say. And so we are just kind of in the brainstorming phases of figuring out what's going to go in this toolkit, but we're thinking that we will have a center-based toolkit and a home-based toolkit because we know that the regulations differ for programs based on their type. And so far what we've brainstormed is that this list of what's going to be in the toolkit you can read later, but what I have highlighted in blue is a section on record keeping. So something that we would like your feedback with that I'm just going to explain, but you can do on your own time so we don't take up too much time in the meeting. Is some help identifying good record keeping practices. So we have some knowledge about how to do this well with homes, with family childcare homes. For CACFP, they have a binder kind of starter kit that is used with family childcare homes. And so we are trying to identify from you all what best practices around record keeping with onboarding programs to CACFP or other child nutrition programs are you all aware of? What best practices are you already using? What works well when working with centers in this space? And then also what is missing or what would be ideal to have in record keeping. And so Marika dropped a Jamboard link. And so you certainly don't have to do this right now, but I was going to just preview So this is the Jamboard that will stay open, and we're hoping that you all can just pop on here and throw some sticky notes if you have any ideas about tools that are already in place that are helpful to use in working with CACFP centers, and then which tools would be helpful. We are hoping for feedback by the end of next week, so I can share that information with Charlie so you can send it out in the notes. But just really wanted to pick your brain on that, because we know that you all already have some systems in place, and we would love to learn. Any questions? That was a lot.
That was very fast.
I'm sorry, no, we only had 10 minutes. We should have asked.
No,
for
it's all good. And yeah, I'm sure if there are questions that come in, they know how to get a hold of you. But we appreciate you putting all this information. And yeah, maybe next month we'll set aside a little bit more time. Any other questions for Megan or Marika? All right, awesome. We are on to our final presentation. Sarah Roberts, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Let me just get my slides so I can see them all. Okay, so I am here to talk to you all today about a line item that has been and is in the GAE. And so earlier this year, but we didn't share it for all the reasons, there is a line item of $75,000 in the GAE that is specific for coaching supports. So this amount of money can be split between all of the councils, or whoever of the councils is requesting funds. And these funds can be used to provide ongoing professional development for coaches who are currently credentialed coaches. So we realize that it's late in the game. So if you have paid for professional development that it would really help to be reimbursed for, there you can ask for reimbursement from July 1 of 2022. Or if you have other professional development opportunities you'd like to give to your coaches, that is from now until June 30th, you can also request funding up until the end of this fiscal year. Allowable items that can be considered for your credentialed coaches is ongoing professional development. So this includes registration for RMECC, or if you had coaches that attended the Whole Child Consultative Roles Conference and you'd like to be reimbursed for it, or any other trainings that would help with their connection to the field and increase their participation as a coach with their providers. We do recognize that depending on where you live in the state, that professional development is great, but only if you can get there and stay there. Because this funding source is through CURSA funding, we can also apply it to mileage and hotel stay. And then it's also available if you need to hire someone to be able to provide reflective consultation to your coaches that work for your councils. And this includes if they're contracted or if they're direct hire from your council. But it needs to be hiring someone outside of your organization. It's not to pay someone who's already being paid, but if you're paying someone else to do it. There is a timeline for this. So hopefully tomorrow at 1 o'clock, the form will go live. We just had a couple little pieces we are trying to make work for the request form. All the requests for this fiscal year will be due by March 3rd. And then we'll take that week to look at all the different requests that councils have, the amounts that councils have asked, and see how many we can fund. And then everyone will get notification on March 6th. If there is any available funding, we'll let people know after the March 13th deadline, March 13th, if we have any money left over. We are going to then extend this for the fiscal year for 2023 to 2024. There will be another $75,000 that you'll be able to request funding for starting in May. And when we get closer to that May timeline, we'll have the actual dates of when you can request funds. And again, that will be able to use for ongoing professional development, hiring a reflective consultant, or mileage or hotel stay for coaches. There is a space to be able to request funds for up to 4 coaches, but we're also just want to make sure that we would just want to make sure that people are aware of the fact that this is being split between all the councils. So if you request for like 4 different people, we might be able to fund one of those 4 people, and then you will, but we'll let you know how much we can fund, and then it'll be a reimbursement to councils where you'll submit an invoice and then be reimbursed for the cost. If it is something where you're asking for recertification, that is professional development for coaches. So yes, that would work for it. Jessica?
Thank you. Does this include additional dollars for maybe hours worked, since some of my coaches aren't full-time?
It is unfortunate. It's just for their professional development. The hard part for hours worked is the money goes I don't know if we have enough. We wouldn't have had enough to be able to cover that. So this is more just to make sure they can stay as current coaches.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then in the agenda is this slide deck, and it has links to the form and to the actual business rule. So you can see all of the exact language, and then the request form, which again, hopefully should be live tomorrow at 12:30. Are there any other questions that I can answer for anyone? Go ahead.
Hi, this is Tina Purcell. I work for the Early Childhood Council. For Bright Futures, can contracted coaches put into the council for reimbursement for interreliability ERS recertifications? Yes.
Since it is going for their ongoing professional development, yes. It's if those hours will count in PDIS as ongoing professional development, we will count that as being able to request those hours for reimbursement.
Thank you. All right, great. Thank you.
I'm not entirely sure how to answer that question, Danielle. I'd have to ask Angela for more guidance, but I can let you know. Go ahead, Jessica.
Sorry, one more question. Is there a distance requirement? So if they're staying in a hotel, is it like 30 miles away from your council base, or?
It would be whatever the language you as a council already have in place. So if you as a council say, in order to get a hotel stay, you have to be X amount of miles away, we would follow that
that policy
that you already have in place.
Great, thank you.
This would also count if I think that there is a possibility that the reflective facilitation class might be in person soon. So if you're wanting to send a coach to become a reflective supervisor or consultant, you would also be able to use funds for mileage and things like that as well. Go ahead, Lisa.
So I know that it's not guaranteed on what councils will get, but I'm just thinking about the fact that I just cut a lot of things out of my budget for next year so that I could pay for coaches to have all their research. And so if we were to be funded out of this next year, I am hoping there will be some allowance for budget revisions and all of that. Just, I don't know, it's a huge bummer. I just cut a whole bunch of things out of my budget. So
I am sorry about, yeah. Karen says, yes, you can do an amendment. And I'm sorry about the timing.
Well, that's okay. It's unknown anyway. I mean, you don't know what councils are going to get. So, and I'm talking about next year. So thanks.
Well, if you have any other questions or wonderings, please feel free to send me an email and I will be happy to answer whatever questions you might have. And then, yeah, the request form, we just had a couple little things that didn't work and we didn't want to give you a broken form. So it'll be good to go tomorrow. And that's all I got, Charlie.
Alrighty, awesome. Megan, if you want to come on and do a couple more minutes.
I know, I'm sorry, Megan.
No, it's all good.
No, I'm sorry.
All right, so much information today. I think we all need some time to process how much we have all learned, but very successful state TA Day. There's so much going on. As always, yes, Lisa, what's up?
Sorry, I didn't know if there was a time for questions or are we finished?
Well, we have about 5 more minutes if anybody does have any questions.
Okay, I have 2. One, can you remind me when the FCCH Navigator and CCR&R AOC funds, do those end in June of next year or do they go through December?
Those should be budgeted for July to June. They go through September, I think.
Okay.
So I'll verify that with you. And actually, we are a little underspent, so we're trying to see if we can extend that even further, but it just depends on the federal guidelines. We're trying to unpack all that right now.
Okay, great. I'm just trying to remember when they ended and I couldn't find the documentation that was sent out a long time ago when they first came out. And then is there any, and if there's no updates, Karen, you can say there's no updates. Any updates on the GAE funding and all that stuff going forward for next year and potential cuts?
Yes and no. So there is an update that, we understand through the JBC process that the reduction is not going to happen. What we don't know is if there'll be any further, instructions on, hey, you need to reappropriate it, or you need to, we're hoping it just stays as is and we can figure out a balance. So we have to just wait till the end of the session and make sure the dust settles, and we should be good to discuss what and how to make sure we get it spent down. But we'll look at multiple different ways, whether we put it in base funding, whether we put it in higher allocations. I think all those things are on the table.
Awesome.
And yes, it's good news overall.
Thank you.
So.
Any other questions?
Yep, I had my hand up.
Oh, sorry, Danielle, what's up?
A follow on to Lisa's question about the family child care navigators and the availability of care specialists. There's such critical positions. I really hate to think that they're going away. And what can we do? What can we do?
You know what you can continue to do is just share the success stories, because those have been pretty powerful when I've been able to make presentations to our leadership.
Yeah.
And what I think will happen is just Karen and Bowden's viewpoint of the world, but is because we have some of these stimulus programs and there's multiple program managers who are going to want to make a case for continuing them. We have the SEAL Lab working with our department to really dig into our strategies and just anything and everything you can share when they're contacting us. We are sharing, like I said, success stories, all of the, and Frank, I just want to acknowledge it's been a lot of data gathering. I totally get that. I know that it's been challenging, but it has been really, really powerful to be able to share all of those, how many programs we're reaching and that sort of thing. And we've heard just nothing but wonderful things about the work that's happening. the connections with licensing, the connections with, you know, all the other different support areas. And it would be my absolute hope and desire that we will be able to sustain this.
I hope so too. I just think they're critical positions making a difference.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. We appreciate you all so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay warm. And looking forward to talking to everybody soon. Thank you.